What happens if you're someone born with no artistic ability? Well, you can live life normally, unless you're stupid like me and you want to become a solo indie game developer. Like many people, I spent months watching tutorials on how to create pixel art, 3D models, and various other forms of art, but I actually never created anything. Well, I thought the best way to solve this is with a challenge. I spent the last 7 days going from a complete noob to actually making pixel art I can put inside a video game. So now there's no better way to show you my lack of artistic ability than with the following clips. Surely I can draw a train.
I see line, or computer keyboard, or pillow. I see bread, or eraser,
Bread.
or couch,
Couch.
or swimming pool, or hot tub. I see cruise ship. Sorry.
Oh, I'm the artist. No one is guessing this. This is perfect preparation for a pixel art challenge. This is a guitar. You'll never guess it, my friends. No one knows. It's 30 seconds left. Hurry up. Oh shit. I was reported for... Whoa, no. Delete. Quick. No one got it. Bottle, castle. Try using colors. Butterfly. I'm telling you, I am the worst artist. Normally at the end of these videos, people just show their art and head on home. But the goal is to become a game developer and make games, right? So I actually made a 2D sandbox where I take some of the art that I made and I put that in that sandbox and it's actually playable. So I'm going to show you how I did that with C++ and Raylib. By the end of this video, you're going to see all the roadblocks, the trials, the tribulations, the challenges, and the suffering that I went through to learn pixel art in 7 days. So day one begins, and we have two objectives. We need to create an inspiration board, and we need to start with silhouettes. I played a lot of Pokemon growing up, so I didn't want my experiences of pixel art just being from Pokemon. So I went on Pinterest, searched up good pixel art drawings, and you yoinked all my favorite drawings from there. And with that inspiration in mind, I set out to create the first object. And I thought, why not start by drawing a sword? So I drew out the silhouette. I added some colors, made it look like a sword. I think rather than a sword, I'm gonna call this a toothpick. But anyways, the direction is there. Definitely not a masterpiece by any means whatsoever. I think for the first weapon that I've created for my, game concepts, it's not a bad start. So from day one, I was trying to draw grass and how it could potentially look. And to be honest, I sucked at this. I could not get the grass to look properly. I tried so many different things and it just wasn't working out. And because I've been playing Minecraft a little bit recently, I thought, why not draw an apple, right? And because my base is set up in a jungle forest, the only thing I've been eating, because there's no cows for some reason in my server, is apples. So I drew this little weird looking apple, tried to add some light and highlights onto it, and it doesn't look the best, but it's an apple. And I decided to rename that into a chapel, because if you look at it from a distance, zoom out really far, kind of looks like a cherry. So yeah, and continuing on the Minecraft theme, I decided to create what was meant to be a candlestick, but then eventually a barrel that had exploded and was on fire and smoking and all sorts of craziness going on. I deleted everything in my first attempt and just drew a weird matchstick looking thing, and this has essentially become our worst version of the Minecraft tool, or a matchstick. I don't know what I'm going to use this for, but at least it's made. And I had about half an hour or so left of the first day, so I thought why not try something crazy. I had this character concept in mind of something that I want to have throughout all of my games that I make, like a universal character that just acts like a game maker pretty much. And there we go, we have created our first character and I have named him Zip. Zippity zip zip. And that's the end of day one. I've created this nice graphic for you, hopefully it looks nice, of everything I managed to draw on the first day. So a huge progress made so far, especially considering we're only spending 2 hours per day because of that dreaded burnout monster. But a successful day one indeed. Now day two begins and we have one objective, which is to start just with small pixel sizes so I can actually refine details within a small space. Don't make things too complicated. And as you can see, I managed to include some face cam footage for you this video. So I just woke up pretty much and I thought, why not get this painful experience out of it? First of all, yeah, and now I can't believe I made this for my first time drawing pixel art. I mean, it's pretty cool. Hopefully it doesn't look like trash in the game, but it looks pretty cool to me. The game that I want to make throughout this entire 18-month challenge that I'm doing is a game based on a farmer, okay? I'm not going to reveal too much. I've got other videos planned where I actually show some prototypes, the art style that I'm going to go down, and a lot of other things, but the main character is going to be a farmer. And so I tried to draw him in pixel art form, and it turned out pretty bad. I mean, he looks like somebody with a hat on. That's the best thing I could have hoped for. I gave him a nice red jacket, some blue jeans, some farmer style jeans, and called him Jimmy. Why not? I don't know, he just looked like a Jimmy. Then every game requires an enemy, and for some reason I decided the enemy should be a bird. Which bird it is, up to your interpretation. I made a bird. I think this is pretty cool for a first attempt at making a bird enemy. The only problem is I couldn't manage to figure out how to make his beak look like a beak. So he kind of just has this weird duck, like he has this weird duck beak that I don't know what to make of. So eventually I kept the beak, but I still called him Beaklet because I don't know, it just made sense. He just felt like somebody whose name was Beaklet. And the objective at the beginning of this day was to start with small pixel sizes, but I completely went against that. Like, is this such typical fashion for me to do? And I started drawing this weird karate kid. He reminds me of some weird TV show. I don't know which one, but he reminds me of an art style used in a weird TV show. If you know which one it is, comment, but I have no clue. I can just visualize him looking like something I've seen on TV. And like is normal for me, with the final 30 minutes left, I thought, why not tackle a bigger challenge? You know how we made that toothpick for day 1? Well, at the end of day 2, I decided, why not take this to another level? I am now going to build my dream sword that I'll have in the game. So we got to work. We chose a big old canvas size, which was against the day's objective, but we did it anyways. And I blocked out this cool looking sword. I gave it some shadows, and then now you can see the final product, which actually looks amazing in my opinion. And I'm really proud of this for a first game ready weapon. I'm super proud of it. That's the end of day 2. Here's everything I drew. Now we're on to day 3. So day 3, the objective was to stick to a small color palette. And as is tradition, I just did not do that. I got to work right away on a character. I couldn't figure out how to give him good hair, so he's just gonna stay bald for now. Gave him some interesting color choices for his jumper. And also he has no mouth. I couldn't figure out how to put a mouth on him without it looking really goofy. I also gave him shoes that he has his toes sticking out of, and it's like a half shoe, half sandal. So I don't know what shoes that I was going for, but he has shoes on, that's the main thing. And they actually look like, do they look like shoes or do they look like socks? I cannot tell, to be honest. Well, anyways, we created this guy and his name is Alex. Alex will be a big feature of the 2D sandbox, but not in the way you expect. The whole concept of Alex is that he has these electric superpowers. So all of these blue lines are just, imagine electricity. I don't know if you could get that from the pixel art itself, but I think my explanation should kind of bring that image into your head. And day 3, we got to drawing environment art again. So at this point I watched another tutorial and I realized I was shading it all wrong. I was doing the light colors on the outside and the dark colors on the inside, where I had to actually do it in reverse. I had to do the darker colors on the outside and then the lighter colors on the inside to make it actually look like grass. And that's the end of day 3. Here's everything that I drew, and now we're on to day 4. If you guys are enjoying this video so far, please consider subscribing. It adds to motivation on my skill tree, and most importantly, it helps keep the burnout and ADHD monster off my back. There's a lot of cool videos planned. There's a whole 18-month catalog of videos and ideas ready to go. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs in this journey, and you're going to see if I can make a Steam game from 0 experience in 18 months. So actually, before I did that, I drew some more grass, and if you can actually look at this grass, tell me it doesn't look like something you see in a video game. Tell me it doesn't, because in my opinion, this is one of the most beautiful environmental grasses that I've seen in my time looking on the internet at pixel art. Like, look at those flowers. Those flowers look insane. Like, the shadow just makes it look like a real flower that's sticking out, and it has so much depth. The leaves look amazing. Like, it doesn't look like I just drew some darker pixels next to it. It actually looks like shadows. I just think this grass just looks beautiful. And then I wanted to, obviously in the traditional Pokemon where you have that, when you exit into a new route and you have that like sand path or trail, whatever you call it, I just wanted to recreate that, but I couldn't. I was trying to figure out how to use different opacities and whatnot, but I couldn't get it to replicate that entire style. But anyways, it was a good attempt. And the tradition of the Pokemon games is that they normally have trees, so I needed a tree, and I got to work on my first tree and it turned out horrible. I was using a 16 by 16 canvas size and it looks like one of the worst trees you could have probably drawn in that environment. Then I deleted everything. Then I decided to open up a new canvas and try again. I put up next to me some inspiration of some pixel art trees, and then I just got to work. I realized what I was doing wrong is that I had the outline of the shape done properly, but I wasn't really emphasizing the leaves and all of the different features that trees have. And I created, what I'm telling you, I created a masterpiece. This is one of the most beautiful game trees that I've ever seen for a pixel art game, and I'm not exaggerating that, and I'm proud of myself for this. This is amazing. amazing work. You're gonna see how this looks in a sandbox. I think it looks amazing. So I wasn't prepared to do animation. I thought it would be easier than what it was after watching some tutorials, because in the tutorials they just make it look way too easy. They get some random colors, they may put these shapes there, and then they're like, oh, just follow this shape and you'll have some animating character. Well, my first few attempts were horrible. I could not manage to get this 64 by 64 character to look remotely like how I wanted it to look like. So I scrapped the entire thing and I decided to draw a smaller character, create this weird mini version of our character, Alex. I decided that looked terrible, so I went back to actually animating Alex, and I just did some idle animations and some south walking animations, so kind of got a good hop and a bop to him, but not really what I was expecting from a pixel art animation. I wanted him to be able to like do some crazy jumps and running and attack, but I just couldn't manage to figure out how to get him to do that. And I restarted on Alex, gave him a cape, made him smaller, made him look like a superhero for some reason. He's still bold. He's always going to be bold at this point. And yeah, gave him an idle animation. We failed at animating a 64 by 64 character. We tried to draw a new one, failed at that. Then we drew another new character and we managed to give him an idle animation. So by day 5, I've done most of the art that I wanted to do. Now it's just going to be prioritizing making that actual 2D sandbox. And unfortunately, for some reason, the recording has disappeared, but I created these weird looking characters because I had a brain fart, and here they are for you to witness how bad of a brain fart that I had. And I didn't end up using any of these in the actual 2D sandbox that I made, but they look pretty shit. And now I thought I was going to have to find a way to code every single grass tile in Raylib by myself, but I discovered something. There's these things called a level editor where you can just plug in your pictures, make your level, export that level, and just use that instead. I had two options. I could use tiled or this editor called LDTK, and I just decided to go LDTK. I think Google's AI search agent, whatever you call it, swayed me because they said it was new and fancy, so I was like, yeah, I'll use LDTK. Sounds amazing. I put in my pixel art and I made these cool maps with my grass. Then I realized that the first grass set that I made was too busy, so then I had to create variations of them with less grass and flowers in them. Then I remade that in LDTK. I had a bug where it deleted everything or it pushed everything to the side. I had to fix that, which took me another 15-20 minutes. Then I put in my trees, made this cool looking map where there's a path and then there's trees on either side of the path, and it leads to like a kind of closed off tree environment, which kind of looks like something where when you're gonna go catch a legendary Pokemon, you're literally running through those trees, you run through an environment, enter the next level, and then the Pokemon is waiting there. So maybe subconsciously I did that because of my childhood, but who knows. And then day 7 began, where we got to work on setting everything up in Raylib. And let me tell you, I've seen people on the internet say, oh yeah, just draw some pixel art, then make some animations and then plug it in. Well, when you're not using a game editor, that kind of makes life a lot difficult because you actually have to draw how you want it to animate. There's no animation engine within Raylib. You have to literally do all of the code from scratch. And for an hour or two, I could not figure this out. I had to like somehow make this work. And as you can see, I literally failed to get this to work. Like first I started by drawing the character in the space. Then I had to set up a 2D camera to follow the character. And then eventually I managed to get the character to move around, which is probably a pretty easy task. And then I plugged in the animations, and then the most I could do is just get the animations to loop over and over again. There was literally no logic tied to if I'm moving left or right, then make the character do a different animation. Eventually, by bashing things together, I managed to get a working animation. And then I realized something. The entire animations that I'd created for Alex was in such a bad format that I could not get it to, I could not think of some logical way of coding it so that the animations would run properly. So then I took one of the trash pieces of art that I had drawn and I just made some quick animations, made it all in an easy format so that when I export it, I can just turn this into code. I managed to get Joe Schmo, which is what I'm calling this character, to actually have some decent animations in Raylib. And eventually I'm going to build this entire thing out. I'm going to have the whole animations all ready to go, so I plug in any sprite that follows a specific format and I'll be able to animate them depending on whatever the conditions is. And that was pretty much the end of day 7. We now have a character that can run around in an environment, albeit pretty slow at the moment. We have a forest, we have a path, we have a character that has animations. He can run to the left and it looks like he's running to the left. He can run to the right and it looks like he's running to the right. Up, down, side and side, wherever he wants to go. He looks like he's running. Yeah, the only thing is there's no actual gameplay set up at this point. All it is the character running around in a forest. So 7 days later, we've learned pixel art. We learned how to animate pixel art. We learned how to do animations in Raylib. We learned how to create a 2D sandbox environment in Raylib. all within 7 days. Now, if I tell you this was easy, I would be lying. If I tell you that I'm a master pixel artist, I would be lying to you. No, I am terrible at all of these things. I'm terrible at the pixel art. Means nothing to me without being able to animate it so it actually can be functional in a game, and I cannot do that at all in any capacity that looks good. But in 1 week we made a lot of progress, and I know that, and this sort of work is gonna help me a lot with some future videos and projects such as game jams. But our intention is to make a 3D game. This was just some practice about game development, learning some concepts, getting ready for some game jams so that we can actually create visual things in a quick and easy environment. But the goal is 3D. The goal is a 3D game with Unreal Engine, and that will be coming soon. We will be making those videos soon. Those videos will be coming up. They are being filmed at the moment, and I'm proud of this 7-day journey. We struggled. We had to fight off burnout monsters. We had to do a lot of work, and we had to discover new things and learn new concepts, all for something that I don't eventually plan on making for my game. But the main takeaway is this: someone with no artistic ability, as I showed at the beginning of this video, successfully created a playable game with pixel art that he created himself, with animations that he did himself in 7 days. So if I can do it, you most certainly can do it. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. It adds motivation points to my skill tree, and also it helps negate the burnout monster and the ADHD monster from taking me out. Leave your opinions about my pixel art. Did I do good? What could I improve? Does my 2D sandbox environment look remotely good? Let me know.